I always ask them to open a case. I don't make them, but most of the time you ask them to open a case, keep everything in the case, and then when it's time to put it in after 30 days and before 90 days, you have everything in the case. Do a couple screenshots, fill out the information, send it in. Now it's time to go over the November 2023 eBay standard envelope tracking analysis. It's for a whole month. I go through and I grab 100 random mailings from my paid and ship on eBay, and I track like 4 different scans and see what it does. eBay was under 90% in 3 of the 4 scan areas that I tracked, and I had 5 no scans again. No, the cards did not get any scans. Now when scans don't occur, it causes us more work. You want to check this video out here. Where's my postcard? It causes more conversation with buyers. They have anxiety about it and stuff like that. But you're going to see in the details what I do with that in that video. There's a canned message that I send out on there. I'm going to go through the details here in just a minute, but I always show this little clip I did just to give you a high level of how I think it works. There's a lot more to it. There's machines that send information to another machine, to eBay, and then eBay populates the website. There's so many different ways to do it. I'm not for sure how it's all done, but this will give you a high level idea. Now I did keep Etsy in here because Etsy does have letter tracking, is what I call it, Etsy letter tracking. This is something that eBay just didn't come up with. This is a marketing tool that the post office has, and LetterTrack has been using it for years. Then eBay took it and branded it as eBay Standard Envelope and put their spin on it. Etsy uses it. I think Mercari uses it now. Stuff like that. So it's just not something for eBay. It's a little barcode that tracks on the high-speed sorting machines at the distribution centers. If you take this to the post office, an envelope that has that barcode, that eBay Standard Envelope, they're not going to be able to scan it. Your carrier is not going to be able to scan it. It is only done at the sorting centers, the distribution centers, and the high-speed machines is where it's done. You also can't put the tracking number into the USPS website. It's not going to find it. It just says it's not there. It's an ESU number with eBay. This is how they put their spin on it a little bit. When it says delivered, it's still got a couple days to get to the house probably, so it's at the sorting center, and that confuses people. This wasn't made for people that have been shipping out first class, ground advantage, and then go down and get the same type of tracking. It's not as robust, and they even state that in different areas in eBay, I've heard, as robust as package tracking. It doesn't require an acceptance scan. It just requires a scan somewhere throughout the system on there. So people have been, for years, we used to mail with a stamp and a label and throw it up and make sure and see if no one said anything, then it was fine. But if anybody said anything, there was no seller protection since there was no tracking, and we'd have to refund. Now we have a little bit more on there. And we'll talk about eBay Standard Envelope Insurance here in a minute. But I'm going to go ahead and run this little clip. You can skip through if you've seen it before, and then we'll get into the chart and the details, what I do. A little bit more details about it. Here is a slide I'm going to bring up on the big screen. This is just the process in my head on there, not real detailed, layman terms. I don't know how everything works with this. I can speculate from my IT background, my technical background, but there are so many different ways to do it. But in a nutshell, this should explain to anybody how it works. So the first box there is you got eBay and Etsy platform. They're connected across multiple data centers and stuff like that. They're not in the same one. That's why it's got the dotted line there. They're 2 separate companies, 2 separate platforms, 2 separate programs, applications, and stuff like that. They're not shared. But I just put them in a box to make it easier. When someone buys a postcard from either eBay or Etsy, it goes to the post office. The post office then sends data to eBay or Etsy in some way, format, a file, web services, some integration is going to go up and going to come down. Either eBay and Etsy picks it up or directly goes into those platforms if they have shared access. So that's your scans. When it hits the post office, it goes back and forth into the tracking on eBay and Etsy. If everything is successful with the delivery And then you got a happy customer like at the end here. Even though the scans are not happening, most of the time the customer gets the card and they're happy. So that's how it works. Very simple. A lot of places things can go wrong. I really don't know why some of these scan details you see happens, because it's all machine. They're all different machines. Why would it happen? There's one common denominator, and that's eBay. Are they getting the information, displaying it correctly? I tend to go there more than I do the post office, since they're using separate centers, separate machines. They're not all going to have the same problem every time. It's just the way I see it. Too many coincidence, I guess. It would have to happen. But I track 100 mailings from my November 2023 paid and ship, and here's the chart. Now the different columns in this chart, the first one is state. I put the ending state that this card is being sent to, just to see if there's any problems with a state. The next one is the label. That's my control. I own that. I print out the label. It's 100%, 100 out of 100 every time. So I know I did 100 labels. And then the next one is the origin scan. Origin scan is where my first hop, that's 2 hours south of me in Champaign, Illinois. Most of the time, I've noticed a few things have been going straight to other distribution centers lately, which is good. They're bypassing a hop. But not often. Most of it goes to Champaign. Even if it's going to Chicago, an hour north of me, it goes to Champaign and then goes to Chicago. It's just the way they set up their distribution center. Overall, productivity is the key, and that if you send everything to one site and disperse it from there, instead of just bouncing all over the place, you save money, you save dollars, you save hours. Then the next one is destination. Somewhere in the scan it should have a destination in transit type of tracking, so the customer knows and we know that it's moving through the network. Then you get in for out for delivery. I put delivery on the chart here because I didn't want to fill up the column space at the top. I shortened it to delivery. So it's out for delivery. That's when it hits one of the last sorting centers, and it's going to be a couple days before it gets there, and then delivered is the last, when it gets scanned finally at the sorting center. It's in batch to go out on the truck to the house. That's the one that confuses customers the most. They're used to packages because the carrier scans it when they drop it at your door. That doesn't happen here. It scans at the sorting center, then the post, a couple days, the post mailman, mail lady, gets it and brings it to the house. And that's what that little video will help with. And then the last one is the average days. The average time across all for that state, how long it take from my town, an hour south of Chicago, to anywhere that I mailed something. And I take the average days, I take it when I created the label, and then when it showed delivered. Then I add 1 day. Now you can add whatever days you want. I just figured I've been doing 1 day, and I can go up from there. But it gives you an idea. Is there a problem somewhere if you use the same thing? The red on the chart is if I created 11 labels and any scans across there is lower than the number that I created, I mark it red. And if you notice, there's a lot of red on here. There's scans missing all over different states. So let's walk through these real quick. At the bottom, the origin scan was 81%. They missed 19. Now remember, no acceptance scan is required. That's your first hop. So if you put it in the mail, you probably won't notice something until in the morning that it went through the first place. So 81%. My origin center has always been low, as we'll see in the trend here. Destination scan, which is the next one, is 91%. That was the only one over 90%. They only missed 9. So how can you miss 19 origins and then get 9, only miss 9 on the destination? That's the coincidence that doesn't happen in the machine IT world to me. I think it's the information getting transferred. Because it's not hard to do. They're reading the code, putting it in a file or web services and sending it over. It's not that difficult to me in my eyes. Might be more to it. Maybe volume, I'm not for sure. But nowadays with volume it shouldn't be. Next one is out for delivery. 88%, they minus 12. They missed 12 out for deliveries. And the all-important delivered scan, 87%. That's the one that's going to cause you most headaches. Going through the system or delivered. That's going to cause the most headaches. And they missed 13 of those. And then down the bottom I track no scans. I had 5 out of the 100 I picked had no scan at all. I remember when eBay standard envelope first started, there was tons of them, and it quieted down. Well, now it's staying steady. 4, 5, 6, 7 scans every month that I pick are no scans. The neat thing about it, the positive thing, is I didn't get any requests. I call them requests. Where's my postcard? It shows delivered not here. It's not scanning. I didn't receive it. I did not receive any request in November about any of that. No conversations. I didn't send any messages out. So even though the scans aren't happening, the cards do usually show up. Don't poke the bear and go ask people if they got the card. You might not like what you get. So if they don't say anything, I don't go chase it down. I don't watch tracking at all, unless it's a very high price one or I know I'm going to have a problem seller. Very rarely that happens. Both of them. I'd like to have more higher price cards. I don't go out and just sit and watch tracking to see if it's going to make it. You're just waiting for a problem. Most of the time it's not going to happen. I've had 7 refunds or lost things this year. 2 of them were my fault. I have no idea what I did that day in August. Had a messed up day. I put the wrong postcard to the wrong seller, so usually you have its partner, and I had 2 I had to take care of. So 2 of those out of the 7 are mine. 4 of them I refunded and put a claim in, and then within 24 hours, no questions asked, I got my money back in my PayPal, and I have 1 more claim I need to put in starting December 9th. You can file a claim with eBay Insurance and watch this video, and I'll walk you through the claim form, and it goes right through it. To me, I've never had a problem, but you got to wait after 30 days and before 90 days to send the claim in, and you need to do a few things on there, so you just got to keep track. Now eBay is keeping more than 90 days worth of data now. It's really nice. You can go back and do it whenever, but you got to do it between 30 and 90 days. I've gotten all my money back. Last year in 2022, I got about $70 back. So even though I refund them, I'm not worried about it. I'll get my money back. Now the average days of post office was 5, but if you notice on the chart, there's a few of these that were 7 days, 7 days, 9 days to Oregon. Usually Oregon, some of those larger states out west, are my longest. Oregon, Montana, Washington usually takes the longest. Then you get South Carolina. Missouri is just that way. I don't know what's so big about Missouri, but it was 7 days average. Maine, then Delaware, and Arkansas. Arkansas is just on the other side of Illinois too. 9. So there's no rhyme or reason why it takes so long on some things. But the average days for the post office is 5. Now let's look at the chart, the ongoing chart. I take this data, I put it into another chart, and it's a graph. It's a line. Now the dotted line on this one is the 90%. I feel anything under 90% causes us more work. They're affecting us and the customer, and we have to have those conversations. And if you look at this, they're not doing real well. The trend is going below the line for a while, since June. The red, which is delivered, seems to stay up there, but it dropped a little bit this month. But it's still, they should be 100% is the criteria, you ask me. Your delivery is still up there, but it's following the delivered. And your destination definitely needs a little bit of help. Looks like I got a little bump this month, but then your origin, my origin is just horrible. It's way below the line. I wouldn't even think that's in a performance metric that they track. They need to see why that origin's not working. I mean, they were sending out some samples and stuff and like that, but I'm not for sure, whatever, but I haven't seen a real big change from their testing. But that's the graph I'm keeping. Then here's the year-to-date graph for the post office. If you notice in March they had a little bump to 6 days average, but they've been staying 5 days. It's working 5 days, which they say 10 to 12 for some of this stuff, and they've been at 5 days for anything I mailed out. So that seems to be okay, except for some places are 9 days that are right across the border from us. Now make sure you check out the video on the standard insurance, and you get your money back. That's what it looks like right here on my channel. I walk you through the claim form, how to fill it out. If you got any questions, contact eBay or look at their help. It's pretty straightforward. You need to do some screen captures. Make sure you get the item, the user ID, the item number, and the message. There's 2 of them that shows that the buyer said they didn't get it. I always ask them to open a case. I don't make them, but most of the time you ask them to open a case, keep everything in the case, and then when it's time to put it in after 30 days and before 90 days, you have everything in the case. Do a couple screenshots, fill out the information, send it in. Within 48 hours, I've always got mine back. If they need something else, they'll ask you. but my video should help you with that. So don't be afraid if someone loses one of your cards. If it's lost or damaged, you can get your money back. Try that with Ground Advantage. You got to talk to the post office. This is painless to me. It's fine. I have a little spreadsheet. I just put the number. Yes, I refunded how much, and the order number, and then I go out and I have a date when I need to go get it, and I look at it at the end of every month, see what I got to put in. But I put 4 in, got 4 back, so not too bad. Returns and refunds are not really on my radar. They're a reverse transaction for me. Free returns, hassle-free returns. I don't play with it. It doesn't cause me any anguish. Even on the higher dollar cards, I don't have that many, so I got 5 this year. Really 7, but 2 were my problem. I'm not going to put those insurance. I caused that issue. 5 out of all the thousands of cards I send out this year. Why spend that much time and worry about it? I'm not. And most of my cards are $4 to $6. I'm not worried about waiting for $4 to $6. So I don't spend a lot of time worrying about refunds. Now I'm going to continue to track this for December as we get into holidays. So far this year, the holidays have been pretty good. Even though I'm still putting stuff in the mailbox, and if I have any sold, I'll run them over in the afternoon to the post office. It's only 10 minutes away from me, and it gets me out of the house. And it works well. I do that a lot, just to get out and get a cup of coffee or something, go see someone. I'll just go through the post office, check my P.O. box, and move on. But I want to get them into the system. So I'm going to continue to track in December, and I've decided, I was thinking about not keeping it up from 2024, but I think there's a need on my side, and I think I'll share with you guys, and that's why I do this, because I do it for me. I'll share it with you. And I want to see the progress, see if they do anything different. That's probably what I want to see more than anything. I haven't had major issues with eBay standard envelopes. Some people I know have, but I'm not for sure what they're doing. I don't know the whole story. But I like it. I think it's one of the best things they've done, along with sending offers to buyers. Those 2 things are the best 2 things I like. So I'm going to keep this up. Make sure you subscribe, hit the little bell icon, and I think in the corner, in one of these corners, you can just click there. So the easiest free thing to do for the channel is subscribe. It opens up a lot more doors as they turn stuff on for the channel, more opportunities for us. But continue to do that and watch my little updates, and we'll see if it gets any better. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. I'm going to put some fish up here for you. Bye.